Good evening, everybody. I don't know how I come after that. I don't know. Maybe I should take my clothes off. Hi, my name's Barry. I've been thinking about really pleasant things these days, like death and my family. Now, the thing about death is it just brings the most unlikely people together, like family. I mean, you never see your family anywhere, ever. And then all of a sudden, boom, your old man pegs it, and you're now seeing them everywhere. Dinners, brunches, breakfasts, memorial dinners. I swear I was really always avoiding them. I even tried to give them the swerve at the cemetery. But then, what happened was the rabbi got hold of me in the parking lot. He was like, "What are you doing here? Trespassing at this private function." It was like, "Rabbi, you know, I saw these fancy cars in the parking lot and I figured it was a bar mitzvah." He was like, "Bar mitzvah? You must sugar. This is a funeral, it's a cemetery." So I explained to him that I was actually the deceased son. And I said to him, "Rabbi, can I ask you a serious question?" He was like, "Yes." I said, "Rabbi, can I have a Jameson and some ice?" So I'm walking down the cemetery, and geez, there were like hundreds of people there, and I couldn't believe it. And I figured the only reason there were so many people there was that my dad was such a puss to so many people. They wanted to make sure he was there. And I'm walking down there, and I'm getting all these stares, it's like evil-eyed stares, and I haven't seen, so I'm getting it from certain people I haven't seen for like 10 to 20 years, and I'm getting it from people I've never seen before in my life, which in hindsight was understandable because I was wearing flip-flop shorts, a t-shirt, and holding a Jameson. So basically, I keep on walking down, and then I see the remnants of my family, my mom, my 3 brothers, and they're crying, moaning, screaming. I thought for a second this is much like the set of Debbie Does Dallas. Except in this movie there's a lot more going than there is coming. So I've actually haven't done stand-up for about 2 years. As you can see, I'm still cuck. And Leo actually over here, just identify yourself, Leo. Leo actually got me this gig here tonight. I didn't know what it was about. And the thing about Leo is, if no one's noticed at all, it's very difficult to notice he's black. And you know, when my dad died, Leo and I used to years ago do these little cucky little comedy shows. My dad always used to come and watch us because he was a good sport. And you know, he used to pretend it was funny, and he used to pretend he was laughing, and he actually just used to get trashed and fall over. One time he was really laughing, but then we realized he was facing the other way and not on the stage. And what I did was I asked Leo if he would mind being a pallbearer at my dad's funeral. It was kind of like the last laugh I could have with my dad. And he couldn't really say anything about it. This was the whole point. So Leo, you know, being the Namibian bullshit artist that he is, he was like, "Hey man, you know, yeah, I'll come, you know, I'll do anything for your father. I really respected him," which translated into English meant, well, perhaps I could get a small inheritance, or maybe I could mug the rabbi in the toilet and he'd bring us about $5,000 in cash to funerals. Or if really things went radically wrong, he knew that he'd be able to guilt me out on the way home in the car, and I'd probably buy him $100 of airtime with my cell phone. So anyway, the thing is, yeah, you know, obviously funerals are interesting events. And the thing is this, you know, Leo was dressed really well. You know, he put on his black shirt, his black trousers, and even he had a black tie, which was a hell of a nice touch, I thought. And all he needed was a semi-naked woman next to him, and he wouldn't look just like a pimp. And even like the old Jewish grannies were like, you know, moving their bras around and moving their granny panties and giving them a smile and thinking, yeah, maybe, you know, there's some future in this guy. But the thing was this, you know, it's not easy going to a funeral when, you know, your dad's the main event. But the thing is, like, I've always tried to, I've never been serious in my life. You know, my wife's always complaining, "You're never serious, you're joking about everything all the time, what's wrong with you?" But I just could never be serious. Like, even when I got my law degree at university. When I did the graduation ceremony, I went up to the beautiful registrar and I looked at her and she said, well, here's your degree. And I said, well, couldn't you just give me your telephone number instead? Which she didn't really find very funny at the time. And when I got married for the first time, I don't understand how people have this idea that, that people take offense that there's anything wrong with having sex with a stripper. And especially my first wife, I didn't understand why she complained. But I was a gentleman, I was running to this stripper, I held her tightly, I held her gently. Hey, we were doing the waltz. What are you talking about? But the dancing did get a little bit out of hand, I must admit, when eventually she almost decapitated herself on the ceiling fan. And while she was grimacing and turning blue and choking, I looked up at the ceiling fan and said to myself, God, what was that architect thinking with the lack of headroom here in this room? But I was standing there next to the lime pit, and I was trying to distract myself even more because I don't like these sort of things. And I started thinking of, all sorts of different things. And, it's like just before I make love now to my second wife, I always think of meat marinades. You think that's weird? A lot of guys, they think of other things when they're making love to their wives, like, the beautiful checkout girl at Woolworths, just to delay things. Or some guys a little bit more tropical, they think of that guy down at Pick n Pay, that cashier, beautiful Zulu guy, and they imagine him with his shirt off, with his smouldering eyes, holding your gaze. And each time he bags the carrots or the lettuce, you just quiver. So, the thing is, so I was there, I was just distracting myself completely. And you see, the thing is, I want to tell you about my old man. My old man was a puss, he really was. He was fucking crazy, honestly. He used to, when people died, he used to laugh, like any bloke who had a hemorrhage or brain tumor or cancer, he pissed himself laughing. He thought it was funny, And when they killed themselves, like with pulls or blew their brains out or tried to slit their wrists with a blunt bread knife, he thought it was a joke, So, there was a story once, or it wasn't a story, it was a true story. This guy came into his office and, he was telling my dad about his marital problems. His name was Jaime Cohn. Now, Jaime Cohn was banging on about his wife and the problems and the cheating and this and that. And it went on for like an hour, and my dad eventually stood up and said, enough! And Jaime was like, please, Teddy, what should I do? He was like, I'm going to tell you what you should do. Just kill yourself. And he was, Jaime, I promise you, about a week later in the Cape Times, there was an announcement of Jaime in the death column. It's true. But my dad, he didn't give a shit, He was busy. He was so busy. Any normal person would have thought, God, I did something there, and Jaime, and it was me to blame. But my dad didn't think about that at all. He was too busy doing things. He was too busy telling people to run off bridges and under buses. He was so busy all the time. So, the thing is, I actually had a sort of a pet name for him when I was growing up. I used to call him the Suicide Helpline Serial Killer. And there was actually, his picture was plastered against all the Lifeline offices all over South Africa with a little caption underneath, this is Teddy Varkel. If he ever phones, just tell him to kill himself and hang up. That's my time. Thank you very much. You've been great. I dedicate the show to my old man. Thank you.
We're not going to have an interval. We are going to go straight on.